2.2. I forgot to hit record. Never fear. Capture's here. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and we're here for another look at Logic. And listen, we are talking about the new update, Logic 2.2. And many of us have been waiting for some of these updates. And if you've been following my channel, early on when Logic 1.0 first came out and 1.1, they were making some incremental updates. And some of the updates that we're going to feature today are things that we have been long waiting for in the Logic for iPad community. Now, critics of this platform, critics of this app may say, well, these updates should have been there in day one. And I would perhaps agree with you, but there's something you need to realize about Apple. Apple is not necessarily interested in being the first, but they are interested in being the best. And being that they've brought Logic Pro over to the iPad platform, I do like the ways that they've implemented a few things. Now, they can be quirky with their naming, as you'll see in just a minute, but they have done a beautiful job in bringing these particular updates to the platform. And I'm happy to see that when features are added to the desktop side, some of those features are also being ported over to the iPad and the mobile space as well. And yes, we're still waiting on some critical updates, but we'll get to that in just a few minutes. As you heard from the demo, we have first, one of the first features that we want to be able to talk about is that audio capture that I have featured right at the end. And this was useful because as I was jamming out with the track and recording a few things, I neglected to hit the record button. But because Logic has this new auto capture, it actually recovered my last take vocally, which is such a time saver, which is such a session saver, particularly if your vocalist did something really nice in that last take and you just forgot to hit record. This is a feature that is beautiful. You can simply enable that in the settings and bring that performance right back. I thought that was beautiful. Now, in Logic, we've had that for some time when it comes to MIDI. MIDI capture was always available on the Logic platform. So for them to add this to audio really lets me know that they've done some work in the background, and it makes you wonder what else Logic is capturing in the background when you're not recording. Want to think about that, okay? So be careful. Your studio engineer may have a blooper reel ready at the end of your session without you knowing, okay? But yeah, this is a beautiful feature, and we're happy to see it come to the platform. Another feature that's been added is the ability to map DAW controls or transport controls or other controls right to your hardware. So this is a beautiful thing. Other DAWs have been able to do this for some time, and I always thought that it was a glaring misstep to not have this feature earlier. And like we just said, Apple is not necessarily always the first, but they do try to do it the best. So let's see if they've actually done that this time. Let's take a look at how they've implemented MIDILearn. So if we take a quick look at our screen, let's go over and see what's going on the screen here. We have a feature up here that is called MIDILearn, and where I have it is right next to my metronome controls. So when I tap that, I will see all of these different options that are available to me. Now, right now, it's in learning mode, where you see the red button there, the red icon that says stop learning. It's telling you that it's actually learning right now. So if I wanted to map something to a particular control, let's say I wanted to map this fader down here at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and select that fader, and then I'm going to move one of my controls on my controller. And there it is, automatically. It is loaded. And I think that's a beautiful feature because you can quickly map things to your controller of choice. Now, you can hit stop learning when you don't want to assign any more controls. If you're trying to add multiple controls at once, like I did, you simply go into start learning. You can hit the stop button and hit stop. You can hit the play button and assign that to your play button on your controller. You can hit the toggle cycle mode and so forth. Just keep hitting buttons and select them correspondingly on your controller, and that will allow you to actually assign that learning. Now, just the UI, the user interface itself is very clean, very Apple-like, and I would not be surprised if they replace the desktop version with what we see here. And there's something that I'm noticing on the mobile platform is when they bring something new and the user interface is different on the mobile side, they usually end up porting that over to the desktop side because it's cleaner and it's a way for them to kind of unify the platform. Even though iOS and macOS currently do some things differently, they want the user experience to be the same. And so I kind of appreciate that they're bringing this level of detail to the app. This is a welcomed addition, even if it's a late one. So thank you, Apple Logic development team. All right, so that's the MIDI assignments. Now, about that quirky naming, they could have called it MIDILearn like everyone else, but of course they called it Learn MIDI. Okay, so if you're looking for it in the manual or looking for it in the menus, you can just look up Learn MIDI. Now, there's a way to enable all of the different controls that Logic has. And by going into the More icon in the top right-hand corner, you will see the option to customize the control bar. And here's where you open that up, and here's where you can enable all of your transport controls. And that ability to capture that last audio take that I did was enabled here. The flashback capture. So you make sure all of that is turned on. In the display area for your transport controls, here's where I have enabled all of those features too, from your transport position, your tempo, time signature, MIDI signals, and also your CPU memory usage. In the mode section, I've also enabled all of these. And in the other section, in the Learn MIDI section, here's where you enable that feature to add the Learn MIDI option. See, I can't even say it the right way. It's MIDILearn, MIDILearn. How about that? But yeah, that's where you turn that feature on so that you can start mapping things to your controller. And of course, Logic will accept multiple controllers and even Bluetooth controllers. So hopefully you guys will have some fun with that as well. One of the other features that was talked about was the ability to do more accurate stem splitting. So in previous options, Apple would allow you, of course, I'm sure you've heard of this before, other YouTubers are also talking about it. They added the ability to, in the previous version, to isolate vocals, drums, bass, and other, just 4 parts. Now they've added piano and guitar to that process. So that's giving you 6 parts that you can isolate. So I figured I'd try it out with this demo track that I just did. And let's see if it's able to isolate the drums and the bass and those vocals. Let's see how it does. So I'm going to go ahead and bounce that out and then open up a new track and see how it does. Okay. All right. Now that we've exported that, let's go ahead and open up a new one. And let's go back here and start a new track. Now, I happen to be running all of these sessions off of my external drive. So this was also something that was available a couple versions ago, where if you navigated to your external drive that's connected and start a new session there, it starts to save everything to the external drive. Now, one of the things that you need to remember when working on an external drive is every time you open the session and close it, you need to make sure that that drive does not lose connection, or you could lose data. And there's a notice that appears now in brand new sessions that you're working off an external and that it may not be able to recover your data if that external is somehow disconnected. It's a brand new notice that appears now in Logic 2.2. So lots of users are used to working right off of iCloud Drive. So usually when your session saves, it would go right to iCloud and would have a backup available. Apple is telling you they may not be able to do that while you're working off of an external drive. So that's something to think about as you're working off external. This is a welcome addition from a couple versions ago that I like, being able to work off of the hard drive. I don't have syncing issues. I don't have so much of a lag when working off the hard drive. So this is actually an improvement to that. So let's go ahead and start a new track. There's the notice that we're working off an external storage device. Avoid removing it while the project is open. We're going to go ahead and go past that. And let's open up a new audio track. And let's bring in our new audio track. I'm going to drag the Files app over to the right really quickly. That's how I did that. And let's go and find where we put it. Okay, should be in the most recent area. Good. Let's go drag that and drop it on measure 1. Now it's asking me if I want to import the tempo information. Yes, I do. And that's why I picked the AIF file format. Little pro tip from working on the desktop platform, that AIFs do encode marker and tempo information really well. Other file formats do as well, but sometimes it's not as consistent in bringing that information over. So it's helpful to have that. All right, let's give a listen. And I'm going to trigger the play button from my controller. Okay, we're good. We got one file. Now let's see if we apply the stem splitter. Let's see how clean and what it does with the breakup of these different parts of the song. Now I have a regular vocal. I also have a vocalizer here. This happens to be the Roland VT4 that I was trying out, and I used it for a few tracks. Every now and then I'll bring in some hardware. So yeah, I tried it out with that. So let's see if it isolates that or if it puts it in the other category, because it is a little bit of a synthesized tone. And let's see what it does with the bass and the drums, etc., and the organ and stuff like that that's going on. I'm curious to see what it does. All right, so first things first, we're gonna go ahead and we're going to select, let's blow this up just a little bit. All right, let's go ahead and tap on our region, and we're going to hit the stem splitter button. And now we're given 6 options or 6 parts that it will try to split this track into. But at the top, we also have a preset that shows us that it can give me an a cappella alone. And when I select that, it just highlights the vocal. Or I could go to the instrumental version, which will basically give me a submix of the track without the vocals. It will extract the vocals from that and just give me just the music alone, right? So there's other options here. We have vocal and instrumental. So we'll do 2 tracks, split them into 2 tracks, and then you've got vocal, instrumental, and drums, taking out the bass, the guitar, and everything else. So this is very useful if you are trying to isolate the tracks a different way. So I'm going to go ahead and select all to see if I can get 6 parts out of this, and let's hit apply. All right, and again, this is happening on an iPad, y'all. Let's not lose sight of that. This is not desktop. This is not a MacBook or a MacBook Pro or anything. This is an iPad, all right? All right, here's our parts. Here we go. We have our parts ready to go. And let's isolate these vocals, shall we? Let's gonna go ahead and hit solo on that. And we're going to hit play. And let's take off our metronome. Logic 2.2. Oh, it's Logic 2.2. Now, interestingly, I had 2 vocal tracks. That 2-part harmony is coming from a Apple loop that I pulled in. So it actually separated that from my vocalizer parts. That is interesting. That's actually, I don't know, is that Apple intelligence at work there? It separated the vocalizer from the actual vocal. That is very interesting. So I'm assuming that it put that vocalizer track on the other. Let's take a listen. So it actually put it in the same category as the organ. It shifted that over there. That's interesting. And every YouTuber is doing their own experiment with this. And I figured I would do it with something originally made right here, just for you. Originally made just for you, okay? So let's see what else it isolated. Let's take a look at the bass. Let's take a listen to that. Yeah, nice and soulful. Let's see what we got with the drums. It isolated that well. Yeah. It absolutely isolated that well. And yeah, let's say I wanted just the vocal and the drums and the bass. This is so good. I could do a completely different keys track if I wanted to. Oh yeah, that's clean. Let's see what's going on with the guitar. Now, I'm sure it probably detected a few things from my clav and used it in a guitar track. Yep. Oh, that's very clever. So I had a wah clav, and it mapped that over to guitar. Now there's so many similarities between a clav and a guitar. So the AI, the algorithm, is doing its thing in moving these instruments over. Let's see what it has with piano. Let's see what it did there. Wow, so I'm very impressed with the stem splitter. Now, when there are reverbs and things going on in the track, there's always the potential for a little bit of coloration, okay? It may detect something that it thinks is a synthesizer, but it may actually be the tail end of your reverb or delay. So these are things to keep in mind when you are recording and when you are looking to maybe do a stem split or a remix later on, okay? But some of those tail artifacts can be useful when you are trying to create a remix track. You can use those little tails as some abstract things so that you can make a really creative remix. There's always a way to use that palette. So I know that you guys are gonna have fun with that. Okay, in addition to the audio capture, in addition to the Learn MIDI feature and also the enhanced stem splitter, we also have some additional Apple loops and additional channel settings and samples that have been added to the library. One of the things that I do love about Logic is the free updates that we get. Now, this was mostly true, especially on the desktop platform, where earlier users would just buy the software outright from the App Store. I think it was $200 at the time, and we got lifetime updates. So even today's update on the desktop platform is going to be completely free for us. However, on the iPad side, yes, they've turned on the subscription switch, and we'll still get all of the updates, but Apple has found a way to finally get some extra money for the extra content, free content that it's giving to us. So, but they are not stingy with the updates. These are pretty solid packs, producer packs that they've added to the platform, and I'll show you which ones that I found in the update. Now, in case you skipped past it and you want to be able to go back to it, go down to the left-hand corner and hit that icon to bring you to the library. That'll open that up, and you may be in the audio patch area depending on what type of track you're on, but just hit the back button right there, and then go down to the area where it says get more sounds. It's telling me I have 4 more available sounds to get, or 4 more packs. The 3 new packs featured at the top is Magnetic Imperfections, a producer pack from Tosin Abasi, and then a drum and bass pack from the Dance Floor Rush pack. These actually sound great. I actually played a preview of them. You can always play a preview to see what they sound like, to see if you want that a part of your palette, okay? So you can also go down here and see all available packs. It looks like I have everything ready to, oh, nope, I see an extra pack here. I'll go ahead and get that. I've got another one down here. I'll go ahead and get that. And I should maybe have 2 more. Nope, I think that's it. Bear in mind that in the past, Logic has had a few bugs, so that when you download all of the packs and you've packed your iPad with all of these producer packs, sometimes it affects the way third-party plugins have opened. At least that's what it did for me. So be leery if you start to experience any glitches with third-party software. try uninstalling some of the producer packs to see if that affects the performance of your third-party plugins. It's very interesting how that works. Some may feel like Logic is too insular, at least the iPad version is too insular, prioritizing its internal plugins but not playing well with third-party plugins. There are a few things to talk about there, and perhaps the developer team could pay closer attention to third-party plugin compatibility. This is something that we, the creative community, really need Logic to pay attention to. Let's not break the functionality of our third-party plugins when we do these updates, please. But so far, so good. I'm liking the tweaks that they've made. We're going to be digging into the software a little bit more, digging into the app, perhaps opening some older sessions to see what changed there. Hopefully nothing broke, but we see improvements. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you get the Apple Studio instruments, the Studio Bass, Studio Piano, Studio Drums, Studio Horns, and Strings. They are really good quality instruments that you can use in your songs and in your creations. So, hey, this is just a feature update on Logic 2.2. Go download it, check it out for yourself. If you have some intricate setups in your sessions, you may want to hold off to see if Apple addresses some bugs at first. But so far, so good. I haven't seen any more problems. If I do, I'll come back to the channel and report what I find. All right, everyone, have an awesome time with this new update. We'll be back here with another addition to the channel soon. Take care. 2.2. Let's get it.